Church hurt, it's a very common thing that has happened over the course of many years. A lot of people have left churches or vowed not to be a Christian anymore because of the experience they had with a particular pastor or a particular congregation or a particular church or a particular member of the church. You know, the one thing I've always said, that the church is not perfect. The church is supposed to be a representation of God's people, it's supposed to be a representation of God. But unfortunately, a lot of people take that and they abuse it. They use it for their own personal gain. They use it for their own personal platforms, their egos, whatever the case may be. They even use it for their financial gain. So church hurt is very real. But I want to stress that even though that is very real, there is another side to it.
How many times you had me pull up beside you? Get in mind when we slide through. Every time it's a vibe with you. How many times did I come over? After you yelling and screaming at me, it's over. I look in your eyes to give you closure, but baby, I might just take it further. Take it up, got everybody looking like a faucet. Know that attitude got you exhausted. You come to me just to get you up, yeah. Go crazy in it like I lost it. It's only me right now. That's all it's gonna be right now. We just living free.
You guys, and welcome to another episode of Growing Pains. I'm your host, Alex Hampton, and today we have a very touchy topic that we're gonna dive in today. And I'm gonna do everything I can in this topic to not expose nobody or mention a particular church or anything like that, because this particular topic has affected a lot of people who go to church or who've been to church and never gone back to church. And hopefully I can shed some light to it. And hopefully I can encourage people to say that I hope that whatever your situation was, it doesn't make you view churches in this particular way. So if you guys don't know, today's topic is, what is church hurt? How do we get through it? How do we deal with it? How do we avoid it? We're going to tackle all these different things in this episode. Before we jump into the episode, if it's your first time ever watching us here on Momentum Media, I will welcome you. This is a safe space where we have honest conversations, honest dialogues, and it's open to everybody, not just Christians, everybody, because not everyone goes through something, and we all experience growing pains. So I want this podcast to be open for everyone who wants to listen. I would love to hear your experience about what you went through in terms of some form of church hurt in the comment section below. Go to the comment section below. Let me know what your experience was, how you got through it, or if you got through it, and just be a part of the conversation. So I would love to know what that experience was like for you. So we just gonna dive right into it. So church hurt, it's a very common thing that has happened over the course of many years. A lot of people have left churches or vowed not to be a Christian anymore because of the experience they had with a particular pastor or a particular congregation or a particular church or a particular member of the church. You know, the one thing I've always said, that the church is not perfect. The church is supposed to be a representation of God's people. It's supposed to be a representation of God. But unfortunately, a lot of people take that and they abuse it. They use it for their own personal gain. They use it for their own personal platforms, their egos, whatever the case may be. They even use it for their financial gain. So church hurt is very real. But I want to stress that even though that is very real, there is another side to it. What I mean by that is that you don't have to allow what you went through to be defining of what other churches do in their congregation, because there are other great churches out there who will not deliberately embarrass you or take advantage of you or hurt you or you and your family. There are a lot of churches out there who do take accountability for whatever actions they may have done or parts that they had may played in a situation. So I want people to understand that there is another way out. Well, not another way out, but there is another side to it. So again, we're gonna jump right into it, and we're gonna start this off by saying, I'm gonna give you a personal story of mine. So this is gonna be story time, okay? So at Momentum Media, we offer photography, videography, and DJ services. Book your appointment today at www.momentummediaent.com. Creating moments to capture your vision. In my first episode of Growing Pains, I mentioned my divorce. One of my good friend who married, who actually officiated my marriage. When I got divorced, I never heard from this person. I never spoke to him, never talked to him. We're basically not friends anymore. Like nothing bad, like aside from me having a divorce, nothing bad happened. He never communicated with me. Even during the process of the divorce, he never reached out to me by any means. So at the same time I was going through that, my father, he had a lot of strokes going on with him. To the point, like even now, currently, my father is bedridden, and my father served that church. Like he was a part of the praise team. He loved going to that church to sing and be a part of the congregation. Now, I will say that there have been a couple members of that church who have checked on my dad from time to time, but nothing consistent. But as I was going through that divorce, and even after the fact, and even while my father is still being bedridden, nobody, well, I won't say nobody, but the guy who was considered my best friend, like an older brother, him nor his family have never checked on my family since any of this situation, since any of these things have happened. And I felt resentment to that because I grew up in that church. I've been in that church since I was like maybe 5 or 6 years old. And when I was going through what I was going through, out of everybody who chose their side, I would think that you would be objective to say, you know what, I don't know what's going on, but let me reach out to Alex. Let me see how he's doing. That never happened. Not one phone call, not one text, not a Facebook message, not an Instagram message, nothing. Same thing with my father. Even though my father was going through a stroke and getting treatment and things of that nature, like you never reached out to my family just to see how they're okay. And the reason why it's so personable for me is because over time, before any of this stuff ever happened, anytime there was something wrong with our families, we checked up on them. There was a family relationship bond that was there. So the fact that my family was going through something and you knew about it, and you didn't even bother just to say, hey, how's everything going? Is everything okay? How's your mom? How's your dad? How's your sister? Nothing. What's up, you guys? Momentum Media is on Patreon. Joining our Patreon, you get access to ad-free content, ad-free celebrity interviews before they hit the YouTube channel. You get to ask the celebrities different questions of who I'm interviewing, town hall meetings, and exclusive content to all the members of the Patreon. This way you help support us in growing our content here at Momentum Media before it hits our YouTube channel and other various social medias. And also, if you join us today, it's only $5 a month. If you join us, you get access to many different perks and many different things exclusive to you. We want you to be a part of the family and the bridges that we're building here at Momentum Media. Join us today at patreon.com/Momentum Media. Go ahead and scan the QR code on this video and you get to have access to everything that we are doing in the future of building this brand. Thank you guys so much for being a part of our family, and we would like to welcome you to the Momentum Media family. One other particular time, another story that has happened to me that made me resent the church and resent like my faith. I got accused of, well, I'm gonna be honest. There was this one girl I was talking to at the church. I kissed her at the church, and her family basically overreacted and basically accused me of doing more than just kissing her. And it became a big thing. Like, everybody in the church knew. Like, this, it just went way out of proportion. And I said, like, you know, I was embarrassed. I was put down. And I didn't want to go to church anymore. I didn't want to believe in God anymore. Because if this is what y'all do to us for making a mistake, that's like really? And to an extent, like, when you go to churches, like, I understand that we got to hold people accountable for their actions. I'm with that. But you don't demonize or put someone down for making a mistake, whether it was inside or outside of the church. That's something I had to learn as a Christian, because I understand that not everybody is close with God. So therefore, I can't see everybody in the same lens as I do Christians. Like, I'm not gonna put down people who go to the club or the strip club. All I can do is pray for them, right? But if my brother, who I know loves the Lord and loves his family, why are you at a strip club? I'm not gonna demonize you about it, but I'm gonna ask you, like, bro, what purpose were you? What purpose for you to be there? I'm gonna at least ask you. So in the midst of everything that has happened in my personal life, of being neglected by the church, being accused of something that I didn't do in the church, you would think that I would have a resentment towards at least this particular church that I went to. And this is also the same church where things were rocky in my life. I'll just say that. They weren't really as attentive in terms of asking me how I was doing. And I'll just leave it at that, because if I go too deep in that story, I'm going to start exposing people. And I don't want my heart to go down that road. But the point I'm making is that I was very disappointed in how I got handled at church from sometimes. Very disappointed. And I was very disappointed about how some of those church members even treated my family at times, especially my mom. My mom never really hurt us. My mom has never hurt a soul. And there were some people who treated her very nasty at the church that we went to. So I have every reason to allow this hurt to make me feel some type of way. But there's grace. There's this thing called grace. If we look at it practically, right, all of us have experienced some form of bad service at one point in our life. Like, I've experienced bad service at a McDonald's before, right? I'm sorry. I thought I had a text message. I experienced bad service from McDonald's before, right? And I decided because of this bad experience, I'm not going to go back to this McDonald's, right? I didn't stop going to the corporation. I just stopped going to this particular one because even though I had a bad experience at this particular McDonald's, it doesn't mean that every McDonald's that I go to, I'm going to have a bad experience. Sometimes, and this is just to be honest and transparent, and this is even with me, so I'm not trying to put anybody down who's done this before. We've all done this before. But sometimes we take our pain and our hurt and we overgeneralize it amongst things where we justify why we don't do certain things or go to certain places. I heard someone say, they're free to feel how they feel. But I heard a content creator say that because Disney, he didn't get the full Disney experience with the money that he paid at Disneyland, he'll never go back to Disneyland ever again. Like, he's done going to Disney. And that's his right. That's his right. That is his right if that's how he feels. But Disney has other theme parks in other cities. So are you not going to go to that Disneyland of where you are? Or are you going to not go to any of Disney stuff? And again, we're free to feel how we feel about things. But if we get to a point where, we overgeneralize things, that can be dangerous. And what I mean by overgeneralize, I'll take it to where we live, especially as black people. Black people are fearful that cops overgeneralize us as a race. So whatever bad experience that a cop had with a black person, he's probably going to feel that way about every black person that he runs into. Every single last one of them. That's an overgeneralization. And as people, we have to separate our experiences from different individuals, different establishments, and different institutions. So that's why I say, even though I understand what it means to be neglected from the church, I understand what it means to be hurt by the church, I can't take that hurt and that neglect and put that on all other churches. I can't. Because the God that I serve, there are some people out there who genuinely love him for him and is going to treat his people with respect and love. And I'll say this because I included this in the promo of this video. That poor woman who got demonized in front of that church because she had sex and got pregnant, and a pastor called her out in front of the congregation. Let me tell y'all something. That's not what being a Christian is about. And that pastor needs to repent for his actions. And if I'm him, he needs to step down from his ministry. Because here's the thing, there's a difference between accountability and demonizing. The Bible even talks about an accountability that I go to my brother or sister in private about the very matter that needs to be discussed and discussed. At no time should this be brought to a public vineyard for the world to see, the world to discuss. This needs to be handled amongst certain individuals. And if this woman is watching this who was demonized by that church, listen, I'm praying for you. I'm so sorry that happened to you. And then also, let me be very clear. Some of y'all Christians, I'm going to be real with y'all. Some of y'all Christians need to stop acting like y'all perfect. Let me tell you something. I love Jesus. I love Jesus. And I love everything that he's done for me. And I'm glad that I've gone through life good and bad. But let me tell you something. I am not perfect. I am super flawed. I still cuss. You probably gonna hear me cuss on this podcast. Cause there's some things I'm just gonna be real with y'all. There's some things that I just don't give a damn about. And that's real. That's real. And even though that's how I feel at sometimes, that does not mean that lessens my Christianity or my righteousness. It doesn't at all, actually. Because at least I'm able to be honest about it. Now, I'm working towards getting to a place where I don't ever have to say those words ever again. But I'm still human. I still react. I still get angry. I still respond to certain things when I shouldn't. So at the end of the day, let me be very clear. At the end of the day, we as Christians are definitely not perfect. We're not perfect at all. And we have to be very careful about how we treat God's people. Because when we do the things that we do, those things create ripple effects to hinder people away from God. That's why when I created this podcast, I said, this podcast is for any and everybody to come listen to. Hear my perspective. You're open to agree. You're open to disagree. You're open to share your experience. Because at the end of the day, everybody goes through growing pains. I'm just showing you, hey, there's a different way you can get through them by pointing to the Savior. Because at the end of the day, for me at least, I could not get through my growing pains, this life, without God. If I didn't have God in my life, I wouldn't be able to get through things like church hurt. But also, let me just say this too. Some of us need to stop using church hurt as an excuse to not go to church, or excuse to not go to God, or an excuse to demonize Christians. Because just like you don't want to be generalized, I don't want to be generalized either. Because I can't be responsible for what another person says. Donald Trump calls himself a Christian. I don't want to be responsible for anything that man says at all. He don't, you know what I mean? I don't want to be responsible for none of that. So at the end of the day, for me personally, we have to stop looking at people as as these. It's funny because we'll raise people up, but the moment they do something, we'll tear them down. Look at what's going on at tonight's conversation. Everything that was supposed to be done in the privacy of that group is now coming out all online, and they can't even handle themselves of what's going on. I would say, listen, in this life, be very careful about allowing things to get the better of you. But also, I would also say, don't allow this to define certain groups of people or certain institutions, because they're not all bad. There are some out there who genuinely love God, and there's some out there who genuinely accept you and love you. And that's today's episode of Growing Pains. My name is Alex Hampton. Please like, comment, and subscribe to the YouTube channel. Jump into the comment section. Let me know what you think about tonight's episode. Also, we got something new going on. Jump in. My email. Send me an email of a prayer request or questions you may have that I'll be more than happy to answer. The email is momentummediaent@gmail.com. Whatever your questions are, as long as they're appropriate, I'll be more than happy to answer them on the show. And whatever prayer requests you may have, I will definitely lift all those prayer requests and keep you guys lifted up in prayer. My name is Alex. I love you guys. And as always, have a blessed day.